Good morning, stampers and crafters. Welcome to Tina's Crafty Ink Spot. I'm Tina. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today's card is one that I created the other day with a new stamp set coming out in January in the mini catalog and the celebrations that are both being released in January. If you are one of my customers and you've ordered in the last 6 months, you should have gotten these catalogs. If you did not get them, feel free to message me and I will make sure I get them out to you. With the holidays, sometimes the mail gets messed up. Not everybody gets their stuff like they should. But just let me know. I'd be happy to get them to you. In this set, back to where we were. In this set is this awesome Timeless Tropical. Look at the detail in these stamps. Just amazing. Even the palm trees, and I just love them. I have a girlfriend that just moved to Hawaii, so I really had to have this set so I could create her some cards. So you need this set, and with this set comes a coordinating die set. Okay, and look at the pineapple. It comes with a die cut pineapple in the top, and then it's got the palm tree die cut and the leaves and everything. The little pineapple has its own die cut. It has a nice little aloha word here. It's a gorgeous little set. You're gonna love it. So we're gonna be using that today, and we're also gonna be using to create the frame on this card. All I used was my rectangle stitch dies. If you don't have these, you can create a frame just using your trimmer. Just give yourself a little bit of a frame. The popped up frame idea to me it really adds some nice dimension to your project. Kind of gives it a framed art sort of look in my opinion. But so what I did is I used the large rectangle stitch die, and then I went down 2 sizes and used the next one. And so all you're going to do is this is on the other half of your card base piece, because you had an 8.5 by 11 and you made your A2 card base, and this is the half that's left. So lay these 2 dies onto the other half and run them through your die cut machine, and that gives you your frame. I've already done that to save some time, and you come out with this. Okay, so we're going to use the insert of this for our focal piece, or for our actual work piece. So we have that. And then with what you have left, we can do the palm trees. So keep your scraps. So let's get started with our sponging. Okay, all you're going to need for your sponging is some sponge daubers. Okay, and for this, I've used only 4 colors, and you're going to get the accents you need with just the 4 colors. So what I have is I have crumb cake and soft suede for the sand, and then I have balmy blue and Pacific Point for our sky and our ocean. Okay, so let's get started. Get yourself some sticky notes. This is my sticky kitty. And we'll take our first sticky note, and we want to create our horizon. Okay, so I'm going to come down. I only came down maybe 2/3 of the way. Okay, and lay it across your piece. If you use the grids on your paper, it will help you get a straight line across. So pick a grid line and then lay your sticky across. So we're going to go about right there, and we've got it straight over to the other grid line. And that gives us our horizon line. Okay, now we're going to create the sand. So we're going to take another sticky note, and all we're going to do is kind of just tear it and create your little beach. Okay. And you want it rugged. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think I want, well, no, I think that'll work. So then what I'm going to do, and I've still got just a little bit of sticky left on here, is I'm going to put it where I want my sand. Okay. So I'm just going to come down a little ways and attach that there. Okay. Now let's get our blue daubers out, and we're going to start with the lightest color first. You always want to start with your lightest color first. And this is the balmy blue. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up my Pacific Point here. And this is some really simple sponging, because when you're doing an ocean or a sky, the colors don't have to be solid. They can be a little bit blotchy. So as all sponging, start off of your sheet. Just go across. My balmy blue might need to be inked up, but so just start off your sheet, go across. It's a little bit blotchy, but we're just going to blend it. Okay. Like I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to kind of look like, you know, the waves of the ocean when it's just a little bit blotchy, but I am just blending it some. Okay, now we're going to grab our Pacific Point, say that 3 times fast. And what I want to do is I want my horizon to be just a little bit darker. And when you do that, it's going to give it more of the horizon look. So go off of your sheet, okay, and just kind of hit that horizon. And then I'm just going to blend down in there. Blend it together. Leaving just a little bit darker on the horizon there. And we've got our ocean done. Look at that. Blend it some more. There we go. Now we want to do our sky. So we're going to take the sticky off. See how it kind of creates that horizon look? Now what we're going to do for our sky is we're going to take the same mask and just come down. And you can leave just a little bit showing. Hopefully that shows in the video. You're just leaving a tiny little line there so that you'll be kind of blending down into that horizon. Now we're going to create some clouds. So let's take another sticky note and we're going to make some quick, simple clouds. All I'm going to do is cut some little scallops here. And there's our clouds. That's what we're going to create clouds with. So take your balmy blue and let's start up here at the top. Come off your paper and just go up above that paper, up above where your scallop is, just a little bit. Okay, now move it again and lightly sponge. If you have some light and dark, that's okay, because your clouds are going to blend. So let's just keep doing that all the way down. You can do it at different angles. Let's do a couple more right here at the bottom. And now without re-inking your dauber, let's just go over it just a little bit to blend some of those harsh lines. Just barely go over it. That's going to give us our... Let's add one more little cloud right here. And all I'm doing is hitting that little V of my die cut, or my cut there. Just kind of blend it in. And that gives us our cloudy sky. Okay? So now, we've got our sky and our ocean done. Now we're going to do our sand. See, this goes relatively quickly. So let's close these up, and we're going to bring in your crumb cake and your soft suede. So again, we're going to start with our lightest color, which is the crumb cake. Oops, I just did that. Did you see that? I flipped it right out of there. I know you guys have done this. So all you do is, if you do this to your ink pad, is get the little notch in there. Let's see if I can do it on film. Okay, it looks like I'm going to put this together after the film. Okay, so we're going to do that after the film. Somehow I popped that out of there. This is how it rolls. I know it's happened to you. You know you're smiling right now going, oh, I do that a lot. Okay, so we've got our crumb cake sponge and our soft suede. And we're going to start with our crumb cake. And we're going to start at the bottom and work up, because right along your water line is going to be smooth. I mean, you know, a little bit lighter, so it's just going to be a smooth transition. I must have stuck my finger on that with something right there, but it's not going to hurt it because our palm tree is going to cover that. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my soft suede and add some darker accents. You can kind of just tap it, add some little, you know, sandy looking. It's going to look, the splotchy will make it look like sand. Okay, we have our sandy beach. How simple was that? Okay, I'm going to set this aside because I tore it apart there somehow. I'll close this one. Now, the trick to this one, and why this is drying, will work on our palm tree. This is Shimmery White Embossing Paste, okay? I leave the majority of my cover on mine, okay? I've got a little bit right there in the cap. That will probably be enough to use. So I'm going to bring in a palette knife, okay? And just put some on the very edge of your palette knife, okay? Put it on the edge there. And then just go right along your sand and just kind of tap it. Go along your beach line there. And that's going to turn out, and you want it a little bit, you know, kind of bumpy so it looks like foam. Now, don't be afraid that now this embossing paste may pick up some color off of your ink. That's okay. Just try not to, you know, put it where you don't want it. You can always just wipe it off. So we're just going to tap that on there, and that's creating our foam. And now we'll do the same. I'm just putting the edge of my knife in there. And we want it to go horizontally, so I'm just going to tap some areas on there to create our waves. I'm starting light. You can always add more and it's harder to remove than do it lightly and add. So I'm just kind of tapping it onto the paper to create the foamy waves. And it's kind of random. You want to kind of random. It adds really neat texture, and the sparkles in the paste give the color of the water some different colors. So you don't need a lot. See, there you go. Let me add just a little bit right here. Make sure I got my beach foam there. A little bit goes a really long way, so I'm kind of just building up some areas here. And there we go. I would suggest if you are not able to go to the sink and rinse this off right away, I would at least wipe it off with a baby wipe or a paper towel, and then you can take it to your sink and wash it. It'll come off with water. And make sure you seal your paste back up right away. Seal it tight because it can dry out. So while that's drying, see, we have our little ocean look there. And if you look from the side, it gave it, you know, the little foamy wave looking. So we're going to set that aside and let it dry while we create our palm trees. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, can't live without it. And for the leaves of the palm tree, I'm using shaded spruce. For the stalks of the palm trees, I'm bringing in my soft suede Stampin' Right marker. And what we'll do, let's get our little piece for our palm trees here. Line it up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my shaded spruce and I'm just going to ink the palm leaves. It's okay if you get a little bit on the stalks. Let's ink up those palm leaves. And then I'm just going to take a paper towel or baby wipe and I'm going to wipe the ink off of my palm stalks right there. My stems or trunks, I guess they would be called. And now I'm going to bring in the feather tip of my soft suede and I'm going to color those stalks. And since I had wiped just a little bit of my green off, I have my shaded spruce marker. Just going to touch up where I wiped off on accident. Kind of touch up the stalks of your palm tree there. And now huff on it, but they said to breathe on it, which adds a moisture to it. And stamp your image. There we go. There's our palm trees. How neat is that, right? Wipe off my stamp. Now we'll take our palm trees and close up our shaded spruce. Let's bring in our big shot. And we're going to do two different die cuts here. We're going to do our palm tree die cut here. And I'm also going to bring in, we'll move this up a little bit, line up our die. Okay, we've got that one lined up. Well, you know what? I'm going to move it up just a little bit. And I have a piece of old olive scrap. And I'm going to take this little leaf right here, and we're going to create the grass that's going to be around the base of our palm tree, right there with the old olive. So there's our grass right there. And it's kind of neat because it's also has embossing on it. So it's really neat. Put that aside. Let's get our palm tree out. And now I know that my palm tree is going to overlap into my image. So what I'm going to do, without re-inking or anything, this is my balmy blue. And on the side that is going to overlap into the image, I'm just going to lightly sponge the edges of that. It just keeps it from being a really stark white onto your image piece there. So just kind of sponge the edges there. Doesn't have to be real dark. And it's just going to kind of not make it stand out so bad. It'll blend easier. Okay. That's a step you don't have to do. Okay, let's check our piece here. We're still just a touch damp on the thick spots. So all I'm going to do is bring in my heat tool, and we're just going to heat set it just a tad. It's really light, just so it doesn't smear or get on something you don't want it on. And there we go, we're dry. Look at that. So now we're going to bring in our card base. And we're going to bring in our, let me grab them because I forgot to grab them, my adhesive strips. So I just use foam adhesive strips when I do frames. So let's bring those in. And we want to put our frame on first so that we can center our focal piece, okay? So I'm going to go to the back side there. Grab our foam adhesive strips. And I usually go a little bit kind of in the middle, and it'll keep your frame from collapsing. Just trim it off. I do like to cover as much of the frame with the adhesive strip as possible, just so you don't have spots that collapse. We'll put this piece on the other side. And we need 2 more small pieces. You can do this with mini dimensionals also if you do not have foam strips. I use foam strips quite a bit. So what I want to do is I kind of bend it just a little to make sure it's nice and flat. And then let's remove our backings here. I already got ink on me. Oh my. Try to get my backing off of there. Okay, now we're going to take our frame and center it on our, I usually pick like two top corners, and once you line those two up, the rest will fall into place where it needs to be. So let's do that. And we'll set it down. Okay, we've got that. Now this piece, we'll just use your favorite adhesive. I like to use glue on this part because once you put it in the space, the glue allows you to a little bit of leeway to move your image. So again, take your two top corners, tuck them in there, line them up, and drop it into place. And with the glue, see, you can shift it around just a little bit to make sure it's in there, square. And it goes right into your frame. Okay. Now for our palm trees, we are going to just use regular Stampin' Dimensionals. But what I want to do is I want to attach my grass first. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the base of my trees here. Just a touch. And lay my grass on there. Whoops. So now we got our grass on our trees. Might be easier to do with glue dots. But let me get my dimensionals now. And we will, oh, and we have a runner. The dimensionals are run away. Oh, here they are. Close by. So now my tree is going to overlap my frame. Okay. So we don't need a dimensional right here because that's gonna sit flat against your frame. Okay. So we'll put dimensionals on the rest. Probably about right there. That part's going to be on the frame. And then we'll put one dimensional on the grass. And now my grass, see where this little stem is on your leaf? All I'm going to do is tuck that under the frame just a little bit. And just to make it secure, I'm going to put a little glue right on the edge of these palm trees right here. The part that's going to glue to the frame. That'll just make it secure. So let's tuck that under. And then lay your palm trees down. And there you go. See, they kind of pop out from your image, leaving you the ocean behind. And this one I forgot to do my greeting. Oh my goodness. Let's do our greeting because thankfully we have the Stamparatus that's going to save the day. So let's move our Stamparatus in. And I went with a simple hello on here because I kind of wanted it to look like somebody had written it in the sand. So let's do that. Let's make sure that's secure. Okay. You could do thank you, hello. It's got some beautiful little sentiments in here. I'm going to do a simple hello right there. So let's see. Our Stamparatus saves the day. I'm going to put our hello there. And I'm just going to use regular Memento ink. I want that a little sharper, thankfully. With the Stamparatus, I can do that. Just stamp it one more time. Look at that. There we go. And now, just for a little accent, let me set this aside. I wanted to add a couple birds. So all you do take your black Stampin' Right marker and your fine tip point, and let's just add a couple birds. So all you do is make a little offset V. And there you go. You have your birds. You have some palm trees that blend into the background. You have this beautiful textured sand and waves. And there you go. That card is that simple. Less the flaws of the problems I had making it this time. But I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and you'll give it a try. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you have a happy Stampin' Day. Thank you, everybody,